Hi everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel. Today I am really excited to talk to you about the Australian Readathon that is happening in November. This readathon, which is the brainchild of Mel from a book fiend named Mel, is a month-long readathon where we are encouraging people to pick up Australian authors throughout the entire month of November. You guys know I am really passionate about supporting Australian authors, particularly now as I'm diving into the indie romance side of Australian romance as well, but I also read very prolifically across Australian children's, middle grade and young adult fiction as well as other adult genres. So this idea is really important to me because I love sharing my favourite Australian authors with people, and I hope that this encourages people to pick up at least one book by an Australian author throughout the month of November. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the readathon. As I said, it's the brainchild of Mel, but we also have some really incredible co-hosts. So I am one of them, but there is also Wren from the Reading Wren and Meredith from Reading with Merb. And I think between the four of us, we're going to have some really great and often different recommendations for people, which I think is amazing. There will be a Discord for everyone where all the information can be found, where you can interact with other participants and you can share what you're reading. And a big tenet of this readathon is that we want it to be fun and accessible for everyone. And we wanted to give people multiple ways that they can engage with the readathon. So to that end, there are two options. The first one is option one, and this is to read at least one book by an Australian author. Now, we do have a group book for this readathon. It is an Indigenous young adult title called The Boy from the Mish by Gary Lonsborough, and you can read that and complete the readathon. You could also pick any other Australian author that you're interested in reading and give them a try, and that would be perfectly okay too. Option two is a bingo board, which I will pop on the screen, and the prompts are to read a book with LGBTQIA plus rep, to read an Aboriginal or a Torres Strait Islander author, so those are our First Nations people here in Australia, and there are a plethora of books that you can read that fit this prompt. The next one is to read a middle grade or a young adult title, to read a book that is set in a hot setting, because it does get very warm here, and in November we will be starting to heat up. There is a free space where you can choose your own book. The next prompt is to read a book with orange on the cover. There is the prompt to read a book that is set in Australia, a prompt to read an indie or a self-published book, and also finally a square to read a host favourite book. Now, as I said, the group book is The Boy from the Mish by Gary Lonsborough, which is a young adult LGBTQIA plus First Nations book. So that covers the entire top row of the bingo board, which means you can read that and you can get bingo and basically be done. However, later this month, I'm going to be putting up a recommendation video of some of my favourite Australian middle grade, young adult and adult titles across multiple genres up as a recommendation video for all of these prompts. So stay tuned for that. That is coming out in a couple of weeks. But in terms of the host recommendations, we've all selected 3 books, and I know we've all tried to cover different prompts. So most of these books fit multiple prompts. And I was really excited when I saw what everyone picked, because obviously there are 12 prompts between the 4 of us, and I have read 8 of the 12 prompts, including my 3. So I thought that was pretty exciting. So my 3 are Not My Type by Evie Mitchell, which is an independently published contemporary romance book. It does also feature disability rep, and I love this book and Evie as a person. So this is a really great one to start with if you haven't read it yet. I've also included Catching Tell a Crow, which is a First Nations young adult title. It is one of my all-time favourite First Nations young adult books. It is told in a traditional narrative style as well as verse. It also covers off on the hot setting. It's set in Australia and it has orange on the cover. So that covers off on a whole lot of prompts if you're interested in that title. And I've also included The Dry by Jane Harper, which is one of my all-time favourite books by an Australian author. In fact, I love everything that Jane Harper writes, and I would love for more people to read this. This is a crime/mystery book set in a rural town in Victoria. It has orange on the cover, it's set in Australia, it has a hot setting, and it is one of my all-time favourite books. I have read it multiple times. It's fantastic. It also has a movie adaptation if you haven't seen it, with Eric Bana, and that is also excellent. I will also put a graphic on the screen that shows all of the other host pick books, and some of those I will be featuring in my recommendation video later this month. I will leave all of the information as well as the links to where you can find everything down below in the description. I hope that you will join in, even if it's only to pick one book, and I would love for you to let me know if you are planning on participating as well and what you think you might be reading. And if there are specific recommendations you would like for any of the prompts, feel free to let me know, because I'll spend a little bit more time unpacking those. So thank you to Mel for putting this together. There will be a few announcement videos going up so you can check out information from everyone. If you want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave an Australian flag emoji. Otherwise, I hope that wherever you're on the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.